Maya has known Dev for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And already she can't eat properly. She rereads his messages on the bus. When his name lights up her phone, something physical happens in her chest, like a hook, pulling. And last night, lying awake at 3 a.m., she caught herself thinking the most dangerous sentence in the English language. I think he's the one. The one. Her other half. The person she was somehow meant to find. Here's my question. And be honest, where did she get that idea? Where did you get it? Nobody sat you down and taught you that somewhere out there is a missing piece of yourself. And yet you believe it. Almost everyone does. It turns out this idea has a birthday. It comes from one dinner party in Athens about 2,400 years ago. Plato wrote the whole thing down. And here's the part nobody tells you. The soulmate story was the joke of the evening. The punchline came after, and it's stranger and honestly more useful than the myth everyone remembers. Athens. Around 385 BC, Plato writes a book called the Symposium, which just means drinking party. A group of friends, some wine, and one game. Each man must give a speech answering a single question. What is love? The same question you typed into YouTube tonight, 24 centuries, no progress. Kind of comforting, actually. The speech everyone remembers comes from Aristophanes, a comedy writer, the funny guy at the table. And he tells this story. Once, long ago, humans didn't look like us. Each person was round, 2 faces, 4 arms, 4 legs, complete, whole. And because they were whole, they were powerful. So powerful they tried to climb up and challenge the gods. Zeus, obviously, was not having it. But he didn't want to destroy humans who would worship him then. So he did something crueler. He cut every human in half. And ever since, said Aristophanes, each of us walks the earth as half a creature. Searching, always searching for the piece that was cut away. And when you finally find your half, that hook in the chest, the 3 a.m. sleeplessness, the feeling of arriving home in a person, that feeling, he said, has a name. Love. Love is the hunger to be whole again. That's the story in Maya's head at 3 a.m. She's never read Plato. It doesn't matter. Every love song about my other half. Every movie where someone runs through an airport. Every you complete me. That's Aristophanes, still talking 24 centuries later. It's beautiful. It might be the most successful story ever told about love. And Plato thought it was wrong, because remember whose party this is. Plato didn't give Aristophanes the last word. He gave the comedian the setup, and saved the correction for his teacher, Socrates. And Socrates stands up and quietly breaks the myth with one question. Here it is. See if it doesn't rearrange something in you. If love is finding your missing half, why do people fall out of love after they find each other? Sit with that. If Dev is Maya's missing piece, the story should end when they get together. Wholeness achieved. Credits roll. But you know, real life doesn't work that way. People find the one and then, 3 years later, 5 years later, the hook in the chest goes quiet. Some wake up next to their other half feeling lonelier than before. The myth has no answer for that. Socrates did. Love, he says, isn't the desire for another person at all. Not really. Love is the desire for something through them. Here's how he explains it, and this image is Plato's real legacy. Love is a ladder. The bottom rung is a beautiful body. That's where everyone starts. That's where Maya is right now. The way Dev laughs, his hands, the physical pull. Nothing wrong with that rung, but nobody is allowed to live on it. Because bodies change, and a pull is not a life. If you actually pay attention to the person, not the fireworks, the person, you climb. The next rung, you start loving how they think, their kindness, their courage, the way they treat a waiter. A beautiful soul, Plato calls it, the stuff that doesn't wrinkle. And then, this is where Plato goes somewhere no love song follows. You keep climbing. Loving one good person teaches you to recognize goodness itself, beauty itself. The person becomes a window. Through this one particular human being, you start to see everything worth seeing. So here is Plato's answer, and it's the opposite of the myth. Aristophanes said love is looking backward, grieving for something you lost, trying to glue two halves back together. Socrates says love is looking up. It's not a wound, it's a ladder. The other person isn't your missing piece. They're your way of climbing. Now, the strange part. Plato, the man who understood romantic obsession well enough to describe your 3 a.m. perfectly, 24 centuries early, as far as history can tell, never married. No recorded great love. He watched the thing he described mostly from the outside. And there's something darker. Because he believed the idea mattered more than the person, later thinkers took him literally. And that's where we get the phrase Platonic love. Love with the body subtracted. Love as pure idea. The man gave his name to love with the human being removed from it. And that's the risk on Plato's ladder. Be honest about it. Climb carelessly, and the person becomes just a rung, a stepping stone to your growth. Plato never fully solved that problem. Someone at this table has a rebuttal, but he gets his own episode. So what does Maya actually do with this? 3 weeks in, she's on the bottom rung, and the myth is whispering, "He's your missing half. Hold on tight." Plato would lean over and say, "Enjoy the fireworks," and then watch for one thing. Not whether Dev completes you, whether he makes you climb. After a night with him, do you want to be braver, kinder, more honest, or just wanted? Because the myth's love says, stay as you are, you were always meant to fit. Plato's love says, come up here. There's more of you than this. One of those loves survives year 5, the other one is a story a comedian told at a party. So the scoreboard begins. Every episode, one philosopher, one answer. Plato says love is a ladder. The other person isn't your missing piece. They're how you climb. Take this with you tonight. Think of the person you love, or the one you're falling for, and ask one question. Not, are they the one? That was always the wrong question. Ask instead, who am I becoming because I love them? If the answer is someone smaller, Plato saw that coming 2,400 years ago. Next time, Plato's own student watches him build this beautiful ladder into the sky and quietly points out that it's missing something. Something you can only find in about 3 people in your whole life. Aristotle, and why almost everyone you love is not actually your friend. Same question, different answer. What is love?